Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today I am super excited because we're going to be putting together a budget gaming PC, and this is coming in at a cost that a lot of people can afford. We are using a mix of new and used parts, but if you're looking for a low-cost gaming PC that you can put together yourself to do AAA gaming at 1080p, then this definitely might be for you. Now, before we get into it, I do want to mention that this video is brought to you by URCD Keys. I've actually been using this site for a couple years now. They do offer Steam keys, Origin, Uplay. They even offer Microsoft applications like Office, but the main reason that I use URCD Keys is for their Windows keys. Right now, their Windows 10 Pro OEM key is $19.84, but if you use code ETA at checkout, you can get 25% off. And another great thing about buying from here is they do accept PayPal. I just did this build here. I need to activate Windows. I'm going to head over to my updates and security. We're going to go to activation. As you can see, I've got Windows 10 Pro, but it's not activated. So I'm going to change product key. I'm going to paste it in here, choose next, choose activate, and Windows is now activated. We're ready to go. My warning is totally gone, and basically that's it. They'll email your code once your payment is processed, and that's basically it. If you're interested in picking up cheap Windows 10 keys for your new PC builds, I'll leave a link in the description. Okay, so like the title says, we've got a $300 gaming PC here, and it definitely puts out some really amazing performance given the price here. And if you've taken a look at, GPU, CPU prices recently, building a new rig can get quite expensive. And of course, this isn't going to be a high-end 4K gaming PC, but it'll get all of your AAA gaming needs out of the way at 1080p, and it's not going to break the bank because this total build here only costs $300, and I'm going to show you how to do this. It's totally possible to do. You will need to source some used parts from eBay or different marketplaces, and you can pick up a few things from Newegg or Amazon if you need to. And if you wanted to add to it a little more storage, better looking case, you could always do it, but I wanted to go as cheap as possible here, and this is exactly what we've come up with. Going down the parts list here, for the case I opted to use the Rosewell FBM X2. This comes with a 400 watt power supply. It does have two 8-pin PCIe connectors on that 400 watt, but we're only going to be utilizing one of those 8 pins. And don't worry, for this build, 400 watts is going to be plenty. When it comes to the CPU, I opted to use the Ryzen 5 5600G. Now we're not going to be utilizing the iGPU here. We've got a dedicated graphics card, but the price on eBay is really good for a used 5600G, so that's what I went with here. Also came with that Wraith Stealth cooler, so we don't have to worry about it. We've got 16 gigabytes of DDR4 at 3200 megahertz, a 500 gigabyte M.2 SSD, and when it comes to the GPU, I opted to use a Radeon RX590. We've got 8 gigs of VRAM, and the one that I picked up on eBay happens to be the ASRock Phantom Gaming version. Like I mentioned, this whole build only costs $300, and I'll show you exactly how to achieve that price. Taking a look at the RX590s over on eBay, you can pick these up for around 80 bucks. Now, one thing you gotta keep an eye out for is shipping from China. If you wanna wait, you can just check out the user feedback. I paid $79.89 for mine. And it was shipped from within the States, and I've got the ASRock version, but I'm seeing a lot of these XFX versions. There's some Sapphire. You can definitely find them for around that price. B450 motherboards, really cheap if you want to pick one up used, and you might be able to find a pretty decent deal brand new somewhere. I paid $50, $49 free shipping for the same one right here. It was the B450 DS3H. Not the best overclocking board, but I have used one of these in the past with a 3000 series APU. Never had any issues with it, and it's actually still running over at my buddy's house. So a B450 board right now, you can pick up for like 40 to 50 bucks. Obviously, I wasn't too worried about the aesthetics here with this PC, trying to keep that price way down, so I opted to use this Rosewell FBM X2. Comes with a 400 watt power supply, and for that RX 590, it's going to be plenty. $42.49 shipped from Newegg right now. One of the best deals you can get on a case and power supply combo. And yeah, I mean, it's not the best looking case, but it gets the job done and keeps that price way down. We went with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and since this is a B450 board, we needed DDR4, which is coming in really cheap nowadays. Right here, $29.97. You get 16 gigabytes, dual channel, 3200 megahertz. So 30 bucks you can pick up your RAM. You're going to need some storage. and I went with a cheap 500 gigabyte Kingston NV2 M.2 SSD. $28 right now, but through my testing, I've actually got a 1 terabyte drive installed because I've already got everything set up. But just keep in mind, going with a 500 gig, you can pick up for around 28. 1 terabyte is going to be a bit more, but it might be worth putting that money out there up front. Those are coming in at 42. And of course, the CPU. So I actually opted to use the Ryzen 5 5600G. You could go with the Ryzen 5 5600 non-G variant, but the reason I got this was because I actually found one for $78 ship. You can see some of these are bidding out up to $76, $109 or best offer, a little bit of shipping. I always look for free shipping. $81 free shipping, 5600G. If you want to buy this new, it's going to be about $120, but just keep an eye out for these 5600Gs because they do drop below $80 every once in a while, and you could probably scoop one up pretty quickly if you just keep an eye out. After putting it together and adding it up, total cost here on this build, $309. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is an amazing performing $309 PC. You could bring this right down to $3 by buying a cheaper SSD or maybe finding some used RAM if you wanted to. As you can see, I already installed the motherboard and CPU in the case. I wanted to bench test it before I went on with the build, so I just left it here. We'll install the RAM, 16 gigabytes at 3200 megahertz. This did come with that Wraith Stealth cooler, but you know, if you do end up picking up one of these CPUs without a cooler, they're only around $12, or you could get an aftermarket if you wanted to. Now, the last thing we really need to do here is install the GPU, and I know we've only got a 400 watt power supply, but you got to keep in mind that 5600G is a 65 watt part. I've seen it boost up to around 85 watts. And the RX590 is kind of rated at up to 225 watts. That definitely leaves us a lot for the extras here, but while gaming at 1080p with this 590 here, we had an average power draw of 138 watts. I did see it boost up to around 165 in some cases. So really, I'm not worried about this 400 watt power supply. I mean, we do have more than enough. I know a lot of people do like to overrate the power supplies you need. And with the newer 4000 series cards, yeah, they can definitely pull some wattage. But with this setup here, I think it's going to be perfect. And once it's all put together, it doesn't look too bad. Now, unfortunately, with this Rosewell case, it's got a solid side panel, so you're really not going to see anything in here. And again, we kept it cheap with this case. You could always go with something a little nicer if you want to. Now, the first thing we're going to be taking a look at are a few benchmarks. And first up, we've got 3D Mark Night Raid coming in with a 36,131. I actually thought it'd be a little higher here with Night Raid, but Fire Strike came in with a 14,460. And finally, we've got Time Spy with a 5,139. Given the age of the card, remember we're working with an AMD 500 series card. Not bad, and you got to factor in that price coming in at $300. Now, the main reason we built this was to game on it, so let's go ahead and test out some games. And the first one here is Spiderman Miles Morales. We're at 1080p high, and you can see we're actually getting an average of around 68 FPS. I would recommend either taking this down to medium or adding a little bit of FSR. Taking FSR to quality will kind of smooth all of that out, and we won't get close to under 60. Now up high, we're in the 80s, but getting down low where there's a lot of stuff going on near the street, we did dip down to around 65 every once in a while. I always like to test at least one fighting game, so here we have Street Fighter 6, 1080p, very high, so we're maxed out. Personally, been loving this game a lot, and running it on this machine feels really good. We've got a constant 60 here. When it comes to other fighting games, you shouldn't really have an issue at high settings. Injustice 2, Mortal Kombat 11, or even Street Fighter 5. Of course, with Street Fighter 5, it's going to run a lot better than 6 did, but it's really great for these fighting games. Next up, we've got God of War 1080p, high settings, FSR is set to balance. I was hoping that we could run this at high with no FSR, and to tell you the truth, it's really hard for my eye to tell the difference between FSR off or on when we're at 1080p. Still looks great, and of course you could always drop this down to original settings and not use any FSR at 1080. But with it set up like this, we got an average of 81 FPS. When it comes to The Last of Us Part 1, I knew we'd have issues running this game. I mean, it's the newest one on the list. We're at 1080p medium with FSR set to performance. And even with these settings here, we dipped under 60. So there's a few things we could do here. Obviously, we could take it down to low settings, or we could go to 900p medium with no FSR, turn VSync on, and actually have a really good time at 60 FPS with this game. We also had to test out Cyberpunk 2077, medium, FSR, balanced. With these newer AAA games, FSR is really a savior on these older cards. And remember, I mean, you can go ahead and put a more powerful card in here to get better performance, but this is a sub $100 GPU that can actually run these games. And if you enjoy playing these, then a little bit of FSR shouldn't bug you too much. Forza Horizon 5, 1080p, Ultra, no FSR, no fidelity cast. We got an average of 75 FPS, and going into this, I knew we'd have a good time with it. In fact, if you didn't mind going down to medium settings with some FSR, you could lock this at 120 on the RX590 paired up with this 5600G. Actually, very well optimized game, and it plays just fine on this machine. And the final one we tested here was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, 1080p, medium, FSR, balanced, average, 72 FPS. I could definitely play through this, been having a good time with it. Know a lot of people aren't, into EA, and I kind of wish that somebody else made this game. But I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I do think that this game is a lot of fun, so I definitely had to pick it up. And playing it on this $300 machine actually works out quite well. So overall, coming in at $309, I think this is a great little deal. Now, this is totally possible to build. You will have to do a little bit of searching on eBay. You might have to wait it out, maybe make a few bids. But if you're looking to build a good budget machine that'll do 1080p gaming, then this is a good little option. Now, there's tons of different combinations that we can do here, but this is what I came up with for this build. And I think it's great for the price we paid. Now, if you're interested in building a similar machine, I'll leave all the links in the description. Check out eBay, Amazon, and Newegg for that case. Of course, you can mix and match parts. You can go with more RAM, less RAM, more storage, better case. Price is going to fluctuate. This is as low as I could get it right now with all of the parts we needed, and it's really not too bad. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments below. And like always, thanks for watching.